Somewhere in your brain, right now, a decision is forming. You don't feel it yet. You won't. Not for another third of a second. By the time you notice you're choosing, your brain already chose. Scientists have actually caught this happening twice. Once with simple finger movements, once with full brain scans, predicting a choice before it was made. Not a guess, not a theory. A measurable delay between your brain's decision and your awareness of it. So today, we're going inside that gap, the space between the decision and you. And by the end, you'll have to ask yourself a strange question. Are you the one choosing, or just the one finding out? In 1983, a scientist named Benjamin Libet ran a strange experiment. He asked people to watch a clock, a fast-moving dot circling like a second hand. Their only job, move a finger whenever they felt like it. No rules, no timing, just a free, spontaneous choice. But he wasn't just watching their fingers. He was watching their brains through electrodes on their scalp. Every time someone moved, Libet saw something odd. A slow ramp of electrical activity building up in the brain. Scientists call it the readiness potential. It looked like preparation, like a runner crouching before the gun. But here's the strange part. That ramp began before people said they felt the urge to move. Not after, before. By about a third of a second. A third of a second doesn't sound like much, but think about what it means. Your brain started the process of moving your finger before you knew you wanted to move it. So who moved first? You? Or something underneath you, quietly pulling the trigger? Libet's experiment sparked decades of arguments. Critics said the timing was messy. The clock was imprecise. People misjudged their own intentions. So in 2008, a team led by neuroscientist John Dylan Haynes tried something bigger. No clocks this time. No electrodes on the scalp. Full brain scans. And instead of one simple movement, a real choice, press a button with your left hand or your right, they weren't allowed to plan ahead. The choice had to arise naturally, again and again, hundreds of times while lying still inside the scanner. The results were unsettling. Buried deep in the prefrontal and parietal cortex, researchers found patterns of brain activity that predicted which hand a person would choose. Not right before the choice, not 1 second before, up to 7, even 10 seconds before the person felt they'd decided. 10 seconds. Long enough to feel like an eternity if you're the one waiting to find out what you're about to do. Try to sit with that for a second. Somewhere in your skull, a decision about you is already taking shape. And you, the version of you having thoughts, feeling in charge, you're not in the room yet. You're the last one to hear about it. This is where a lot of people panic. If your brain decides before you do, is you even real? Is everything you've ever chosen, your career, your partner, that impulsive tattoo, was any of it actually yours? For decades, this question has haunted philosophers and neuroscientists alike. And the honest answer is messier than headlines make it sound. Because here's what those studies don't prove. They don't prove your choice was locked in stone. The brain patterns predicted people's decisions only slightly better than a coin flip, around 60% of the time. Not certainty. And some scientists argue the readiness potential isn't a decision at all. It might just be noise. A slow drift the brain always has, waiting to be nudged one way or another. Think about your own life for a second. That moment you finally stood up and started the workout you'd been avoiding all week. That text you almost didn't send, then suddenly did. It might not have felt like a decision. It might have felt like something just clicked. That click might be the readiness potential, arriving in your body before the thought even fully forms. So the picture isn't your brain decided everything and you're just a puppet. It's something stranger, somewhere between a puppet and an author. And that in-between space is exactly where Libet found something that changed the entire conversation. Libet noticed something else in his data. Even though the urge to move showed up early, people could still stop themselves. Right up until nearly the last moment, they could cancel the motion entirely. Kill it before it happened. Libet called this a veto. Not free will to start an action, but a kind of free won't. A last-second power to stop one. Decades later, in 2016, researchers tested this directly. They tracked people's brain activity as they prepared to move, then flashed a stop signal at different points in time. And they found a real point of no return, a window right up until about 200 milliseconds before movement, where people could still successfully abort. After that point, the action was locked in. Before it, they were still in control. That 200 millisecond window might not sound like freedom, but compare it to zero. A locked door is different from a door that's just hard to close in time. So maybe you don't get to pick which idea shows up first in your head. Your brain runs ahead of you, quietly assembling urges, impulses, half-formed intentions. But somewhere, in that gap between the urge and the act, there's still a door. And you, the conscious, aware you, might be the one standing at it, deciding whether to walk through. So maybe the real question was never, do you have free will? Maybe it's this. Are you the one who creates your choices, or the one who's given a final, quiet veto over what your brain already started? A gatekeeper, not an author. If that's true, how much of you is actually just security at the door?